Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, and I'm here tonight at the Pulpwood Queen Academy online book club with one of our fabulous authors, Mandy Haynes. And Mandy has two books I can't wait to tell you about. The first one was the first one I selected, Walking the Wrong Way Home. And I love the quotes on this book. One of the most fascinating things that was written on the back of the book, I actually just put up on Facebook, and I've got to read it because I think it's funny. It says, a collection of Southern stories that will have you rooting for saints, sinners, and everyone in between. But she's got wonderful quotes here from Pulpwood Queen authors, Susan Cushman, Suzanne Hudson, and River Jordan. And we're going to be talking all about all those authors next because all the connections. But she has a new book, and I'm telling you, it's wonderful. It's called Sharp as a Serpent's Tooth, Eva and Other Stories. And what I love about this book is you actually have some pretty amazing quotes on here too. And with a warped sense of humor and an eye for sweet revenge, Haynes reveals herself to be an emerging talent with a command of Southern dialogue and a tendency to create dirt under the fingernails characters. She'll be around for the long haul. Well, you know, I moved to Texas because I wanted to live in the South, because as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the best books ever written and the best storytellers, I always think they're from the South. And I'm not from the South, I'm from the Midwest, but there is something about a Tennessee Williams story, Eudora Welty, a William Faulkner, a Pat Conroy. They give you so much detail, just like Mandy Haynes, that you visually can picture everything that is happening. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mandy Haynes and let her tell you about herself and about her two wonderful, wonderful books. Welcome to the family, Mandy. Glad to have you here tonight.
Thanks, Kathy. This is so much fun. So I am originally from Tennessee. I lived in a little town called Greenbrier. That's just right above Nashville. But I worked in Nashville for, 26 years. And I'd moved to East Nashville, Nashville for a little while, and then East Nashville before I left. But 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to write full time. So I quit my job, put my house up for sale, and just got out of Tennessee. So it's been fun. And in the last 3 years, I bought a house here. I ended up on Amelia Island in Florida at Fernandina Beach, and remodeled a house, which was crazy, with my 3 dogs and my turtle, and put together 2 collections of short stories. So the first one is Walking the Wrong Way Home. It's a collection of 16 short stories. And like Kathy said, it's a collection of Southern stories that will have you rooting for saints, sinners, and everyone in between. I love this collection. I just love it so much. There's just a little bit of everything in here. And one of the best things that I've heard from readers, a lady came to me after she read it, so sweet, and she said that until she read my stories, she'd never met anybody like the characters in the book, but they were so real to her. And she thanked me because she said that, hey, since she read it, that she felt like she knew those characters. So that was a big compliment for me.
Well, your characters are so engaging, and I know these people. I mean, I feel like your mom and my mom and have so many similarities in your stories. I feel like I know cousins like this, people from my grandparents, out in the country. I felt very much at home, and also felt very much at home because of all the religious stories in the book of going to church on Sunday, and because that's something I did. My mother would drop me off, but me and my sisters, she only went on special occasions or if like somebody was really important going to be there. But anyway, I could really relate to your stories, and I know people will. These are visual feasts, and I can see them playing out as a series or as a film. So if any producers are watching this, man, you should snap these things up, because I'm telling you, the Pulpwood Queen Reading Nation would want to watch this show. So go ahead, tell us more about your other book.
So the second collection, so this is, like Kathy said, this is more with the church. Well, I don't know, that's not true. There's some in this one too. But sharp as a serpent's tooth, even other stories. It's a collection of stories that will have you cheering for snakes and cussing in church. There's a snake reference, at least, in every story. And the cussing in church part comes from the last story in the collection called Cussing Snakes and Candy Cigarettes. That's where that comes from. So you have to read it to find out why.
It's one you want to read, because we all bought those candy cigarettes because they were naughty. You know, even as a kid, I knew we weren't supposed to be pretending, and then we'd pretend to smoke. And I love where you said my pink lips would be left on the, I've so done that. So, but they were naughty, and we all did it. And you can still get those at the general store in Jefferson, Texas. So if you ever need some candy cigarettes, they're still there. So
we used to get them with the teenagers that would babysit us, and they'd be, they'd sneak cigarettes out and walk us to the drugstore to get candy, and we'd get our candy cigarettes and walk back with our candy cigarettes while.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to you disappeared on me, so I'm trying to figure out how to get you back. So hang with me. Keep going. Okay. You just keep talking until I figure out why your video disappeared on me.
I can see you. I can see everybody.
Okay, I got you back. Okay. All right. Well, the one thing about, I was going back and going over the stories, and I especially wanted to read the last one after what you told me in my call the other day, because I thought I need to read that again, because you told me that you're working on something for the future that has to do with the last story. Can you share that a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the last story, so the last story was a short story that won an award a few years ago, and it was actually a chapter from the novel that I was working on. It was the first submission that first story I'd ever submitted, and it won first place in a short story. When it was like a fluke. But I got hooked then, and then so I started writing short stories, and I haven't gotten back to the novel. But it's time. It wants to. It's been calling. It's been calling. But
I'm glad. I love short stories, because right now my little COVID mind is overwhelmed by everything. So I read in snippets. So shorts, you can read a chapter, go put a load of clothes in the wash, and then come back to the chapter. And I know Susan Cushman's on, and I always love her short story collections. But Ellen Gilchrist is one of my favorite Southern authors that does short story collections. And of course, we have our own Pulpwood Queen Celebrate our 20 years, which was edited by Susan Cushman. So we have a lot of books that are out there, and I think I think the short story is important because we don't always have the time to read a whole novel. And for all of us on the go, or those of us having a hard time concentrating reading, it's a nice break from a big novel. But I applaud these two books. I can't wait for your novel. And so you also are writing for a magazine. You're freelance.
Yeah. So it's so funny, when I left Nashville, even though I've never been a nurse, but I wore scrubs because I was a pediatric cardiac sonographer. People that I'd known for years still thought I was a nurse that worked in cardiology, so I was known as Nurse Mandy, and and oh yeah, she writes. She's had some stuff published in small, but it's like, no. So when I left and came here, that was my whole thing. I thought, I don't want to be known as anything but just me, me, not my job or uniform or whatever. And it's been the coolest thing because like before I knew I was going to move here, when I just came down to visit, that, like, I don't know, it was probably the first 2 weeks, there was a storytelling event at this beautiful bookstore that's here, Story and Song Bookstore Bistro. They have an event room upstairs, and they had the Live Ink Theater was performing a storytelling event upstairs. I had done some storytelling in Nashville. So I went to the show, was blown away. I mean, the talent, it was a good show. All the storytellers blew me away. Well, I just knew, okay, I like this. It's a little island, and if they've got these people, live here, this is it. So when the next one came up, I submitted a story for it and was selected. So I did a storytelling event where I told about moving here and wanting to write. So it was so funny. People were like, I'd see them at the grocery or whatever, and they were like, oh, you're the storyteller. When's that book coming out? So when my book came out, Story and Song did a book release party. It was so fun. It was on Thanksgiving weekend, and we were worried that maybe not a lot of people would be there because it was over the, it just happened to fall that weekend and stuff, and I'm new, so I didn't know a lot of people. When the event started, before, like 10 minutes before, they had to put more chairs out because they didn't put a whole lot, because they didn't want to have a whole lot of empty chairs. I know that's what they were doing.
Right.
That was nice. But it's like, so they were putting out more chairs. When it was time for me to go to the stage, people were coming up already with the books for me to sign. They had to put chairs out 3 times. I think there were 70 people there.
Oh my God.
Had seen me at the storytelling, because I did another storytelling event. So it's just like this, I knew I'm where I belong. And then just happened to get a call from somebody who was writing for Amelia Islander magazine and said, hey, would you be interested in writing a few articles for us? So I was like, sure.
Yeah, I love this story.
So
Susan, you want to say anything about this? Because I know you did that great review and was talking about Mandy's book. Can she hear me? Am I mute?
Yeah, no, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Susan was so good to me. I reached out to her to see if she would write an endorsement for Walking, and I thought, well, I offered, like, send a couple of stories, because that's some people, that were busy. They just wanted to kind of read 3 or 4, not the whole collection. And Susan was like, yes, but I'd like to read the whole collection.
Yes.
First, and I was like, that was great. She not only wrote a beautiful endorsement that just I'm so proud of, she did some little edits for me too. She found some.
That sounds just like Susan. Yay, Susan.
I can't help it. If anybody sends me something, they're also going to get edits. I just can't. And as an author who has books published that still might have errors in them, even after they've been through so many eyes. I mean, we're just human. I feel like I'm glad if people send me corrections, I'm glad. But Mandy, when Sharp as a Serpent's Tooth came out, remember, you're surprised I liked it even better.
I was.
The Wrong Way Home. And you didn't think that was what people were thinking. And so my blurb's on the back cover of Sharp as a Serpent.
Oh, I've read it. It's great. It's right here.
Flannery O'Connor, watch out. I mean, it's not just the stories, but it's the language. So when you have story plus language, that's just a winning combination. And you've got the gift. You can do it. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, she's certainly got a voice that is so unique, and it's one that just screams for read alouds. I hope you do more of that, because I know Tennessee has that big storytelling competition. I don't know where it stands right now with everything that's going on. Did you ever go to that, Mandy?
Oh, I loved it. gosh, I don't know how many I've been to. That was like a yearly. I was a little late on that. Well, I got married so young and all I did was work. That's all I did was work and, raise my son. And I think I was in my late 30s when one of the nurses that worked in the clinic that I worked at, she was like, you need to come to the storytelling event with us. We have a girlfriend's weekend and go. And oh my gosh. So every year then I'm like, can I try it again? I loved it.
I hope it continues. I hope it all continues.
Another thing that after Walking the Wrong Way Home came out, Live Ink Theater, Cinda Nichols with Live Ink Theater, she was the one that did the storytelling. She put together a Walking the Wrong Way Home show.
Oh my God, that's great.
Some of those storytellers were going to act out a book story from the book. We had it on the schedule and everything, and then COVID hit. So
that's so funny because I just mentioned that for Girlfriend Weekend 2022. It'd be great to see a scene from one of these stories played out, and we have plenty of authors that are actresses too, or actors that would jump on board. We've done all kinds of crazy things at Girlfriend Weekend, so I think that would be a lot of fun. And we want to make the experience as entertaining as possible. And listen, your stories are. I'm sold. I think they're great. I think the covers are great. You did a great job. And so I'm going to, tonight we just have a few on board, but if any of you want to comment or throw in anything you want special or that you would like to talk about the book, now's the time to do it, okay? So if you have anything you want to say, jump in, everybody. So.
Well, I'll start. So,
okay.
Talking about short stories as a genre, I had not been a big fan of short stories until I wrote Friends of the Library, that collection. Mm-hmm. And it was really strange how I got inspired to jump into that genre. And now I'm in love with the genre. So I found this wonderful quote by George Saunders. When you read a short story, you come out a little more aware and a little more in love with the world around you. And so that's what I feel like. In a novel, you can give them one world, maybe more than one, depends on how expansive the novel is. But in a short story collection, you can give them lots of little worlds for the readers to become more aware of. It's like an education, and also just to enjoy them, which I did with your collection. So I mostly fell in love with Eva, and I'm wondering what was the inspiration for the story about Eva?
Well, working in pediatrics for 16 years, I saw so many different families and a lot of wonderful, loving, wonderful families. But I also saw a lot of kids that didn't have great families. There was one story, one patient, oh gosh. There was a guy in the waiting room. He looked older because he was a big guy and he was covered in tattoos, like his neck and his face. And what your first thing is, why would you do that to yourself? Why, that's the first thing you think. Why would you do that to yourself? Well, come to find out, he was my patient, and he was only 15. He looked like he was grown. I'm gonna cry every time I tell this, but so, and he was in a home. He was with a person. He didn't have his handcuffs on, but he was
incarcerated.
Yeah. So when I called him back and he stood up, and I was like, hi, Mandy, I'm going to do your echo. Follow me. And we walk in the room, and I was like, whoo, he's behind me. And I'm like, all right, Mandy, just, he's just a kid. You just think this is, guy's just a kid. So you get in the room, so sweet. You have to take off your shirt. If you're a female, we give you a gown and all that. But a guy will say, okay, if you'll just take off your shirt, and you lie down. I was telling him what the test was going to be. He did not want to take off his shirt because all of the tattoos, and some of them were horrible. They said just horrible things. So I acted like I didn't notice. He was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So the sweetest guy. And I noticed the guy that was with him that brought him was, you could tell that he really liked the kid. You know what I mean? Like they had a great rapport, and so it's like this guy, this is a sweet kid. So start the echo, we were just talking. He closed his eyes, and every time when he would close or look, I was like trying to read what the tattoos were, but I couldn't see. They were so terrible. We're talking about what he wanted to do when he grew up. He was going to get out of the place that he was at. It was a home. It's a long story, but when he turned 18, he was a little scared because then he was on his own, and he said, honestly, who's going to hire me? He was really good at a mechanic, and he was going to go to the diesel college in Nashville. So we were talking about that, and he was like, but it's going to be hard to get a job. I know that. And I said, well, maybe it'll be a little harder than, and he just looked at me and he said, you're probably thinking, wonder, he said, why I did this? He didn't do it. He didn't do it.
Oh no.
His dad.
Did it?
His dad started tattooing him like when he was 11 years old.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So Eva, those kind of stories is where Eva came from. And, and then you just put all those stories together. And Eva just came to me with her little red hair and the pale skin. And I don't know, she's so real to me.
Yeah.
But she's just a collection of a bunch of kids that I saw over the years.
Well, that makes sense. I remember one time I asked you, I think in an email, were you ever going to write about your experiences at Vanderbilt at the hospital? And you said, maybe not. It's kind of raw. It's kind of hard. And now I see you've let those experiences inform your short stories. And that's a beautiful thing to do, to take art and to put the pain and the reality of what happened into art. Good job.
Thank you.
Really.
And I just want like that boy. I wasn't like ugh or anything, but my first thought was like, kid, why would you do this to yourself? And then as soon as it was sweet, it's not, I was over the tattoos by then, so it's not like I was just judgy, but think how many people would be. Think how many people wouldn't even have a conversation with them. There's a lot of people that would be scared.
Yeah.
And some of the little kids that would come in and, with their little dirty faces, and we have to use ultrasound gel, and then you'd wipe the gel with the gauze, and it's like you would wipe that gel with the gauze, and that was the full clean spot. That was the only where you wiped it off, and you'd look at that gel, and it's like, and they were the sweetest little lovingest, and I love those kids, but there are some people that would be like, oh, I wouldn't want the little sticky little ones that were little sticky hands and runny noses, they wouldn't. I was like, give them all to me. I'll take all those.
Good for you. It's important that we share those stories because, I spent a year working at a homeless shelter, helping people write their stories, and I couldn't get them to write them down. It took me over 6 months to figure out they didn't know how to write. I was like, oh my gosh. So I brought my laptop and I said, okay, you're going to tell me the stories and talk slow. I'll type them out. And I typed them out for him, printed them out, and gave it to him. And they said, these are my words. And they said, did you leave all the words in there, the bad ones too? I said, well, let's see what you think. And I read it back to him. They go, you even put in the F word? I go, well, that's what you said, right? He goes, yes.
It's your story.
And they said, nobody's ever listened to me before. And I left that experience changed because we think we know what homeless is, but it's not at all anything like what I thought. I thought it was people that were just lazy and didn't want to work, when I found out a lot of it was making a bad choice that led to a horrible, being at the wrong place, the wrong time or whatever. But yeah, it totally changed me. And I understand. Oh, that story about that boy. You don't know what happened to him, do you? No.
No, no, his heart, thank goodness his heart was normal, so he never came back to clinic. So, and that was the hardest thing too. The way it worked is it was Vanderbilt Children's or Monroe Carroll Junior's Hospital. So we were half owned by the hospital and the clinic. So the cardiology patients that were born with heart defects and had surgeries and repairs and different things, we followed those. Those were our patients. We also, the patients that had surgeries in the hospital, we followed those too. So we had like that was like some different things. We had the transplant center. So it's like we had, like that was a lot. If that, you think that's plenty, but then we did the ultrasounds for outside pediatrician's office that heard murmurs or, had different concerns. So we'd have that patients that just came in for an echo only and didn't have a doctor's visit. All the cancer patients that were on chemo to follow their heart. So it's like we saw so many different that we'd only see one time. And, or, our follow-ups. And I never learned how to, not get close with them. It's our return patients that had certain, it's like I loved them and their families. And it's like I knew what they liked. I knew who liked warm gel, I knew who liked cold gel. I would make little animals with the gel on the thing, for some kids, and knew who liked a warm blanket and who, what shows they like to watch. And I loved them. I never knew how to separate myself. And so after 16 years, that was a whole lot to, carry around.
Well, it's carried into your stories, which is a really great thing. That's awesome. So what if you were to, have a dream of what would happen to you from this writing experience and being everybody's dream is to only be a writer. So what is your big dream? What is your big dream that you would love to see happen from your writing?
Oh, okay. If this is my dream, so if it sounds like it's a dream, so I can say whatever I want.
That's right.
I would love to have have my own center where anybody that wanted to write but didn't know how and didn't have because it takes a lot when you start, where new writers could just come and have different events and meet people and just learn everything they need to learn to get their stories on the page, just free of charge, just free. Just because words are free. Words are free. If you had people that were in the groups that they were good at like interior format, and these people were good at character development, it's like, and just have where like a little compound, like a compound where people could just.
Well, I think Pat Conroy's kind of created that at the center there. So, but we need more of them. We really do. And I think that's a wonderful idea, because nothing is more fun for me than to have all my friends get together like I did when I went to Kansas, and I taught them how to do alcohol ink. And we just had the best time, if I could do that every day of my life, I would be happy. But, this COVID thing has thrown everything amiss. So, well, I'm going to do everything I can to get the word out on your books, Mandy. And I hope you think about that scene for Girlfriend Weekend 2022, because you're going to be featured at our Girlfriend Weekend, and you're on Eileen Sanchez's Pros and Pandemic panel, right? Is that correct?
So excited, yeah.
I am too, because I just love her book and I love her, and I think she's doing amazing things. And I think the last thing I want to talk about is these Pulpwood Queen connections with authors. you know, I sit kind of out here in the woods and I see people like Susan doing a review for you. And I see River Jordan, you know, shouting out your praises, and then you turning around and shouting out about her new book. And I look at the back of your book and they're all Pulpwood queens. I'm looking at the back of the book. I mean, we've got, you know, Sunny Brewer. We've got Renee Winchester. Now, I don't know Brenda Sutton Rose, but I certainly do Susan Cushman, Suzanne Hudson, and River Jordan. So nothing pleases me more than to think that, you know, this thing that I started, because, you know, it all began because when I opened my hair salon bookstore, I got invited to the local book club. And then I thought they invited me to join, and they invited me as a guest. And it was kind of, I don't know if you've ever been blackballed from anything, but unfortunately, I've had this happen to me many times. I mean, I was blackballed from Rainbow Girls. Do you know what Rainbow Girls is?
Is it like Scouts? Is it kind of like Girl Scouts?
No, it's like Masons and Masons and the women, and they have for the boys they have demolays, and for the girls they had Rainbow Girls. And I was kicked out because Rainbow Girls do not wear anklets with their sandals. They wear pantyhose. And I was in the 7th grade, and they told me I couldn't come back because I wasn't mature enough. It was really horrifying. I'm going to tell about it in my next book because it's funny to me now, because they sent me home. They sent my mother down to bring me a pair of pantyhose. Well, my mother's like just a little over 5 foot. And when I was in the 7th grade, I was almost 5'8". So she brought me a pair of these glitter pantyhose. But when I went to pull them on, the crotch would only come up to my knees. So in Rainbow Girls, you have to walk around to these stations, love, hope, charity, all this stuff. And as I walked in my clunky 70s, you know, platforms with the big buckles and my satin former Candlelight Girls mint green mini skirt dress, it went scritch, scritch. Everybody was just like going, oh my God, you know, she's got on these, it was so embarrassing. And but I couldn't, they wouldn't let me wear my anklets, so, because I was a kid. But anyway, I think those connections that we make with other authors and sharing our stories, and seeing you become such great friends with Suzanne Hudson and Sunny Brewer and Joe Formicella, and, you know, I just love it. And I get really excited when I see each other sharing each other's books. That just makes my day.
It's the best. And I think you know, how lucky am I? I love holding my books. I'll pick them up all the time, like 4 or 5 times a day. And I just look at it and I'm like, oh, and what's so funny to me, I think, so River Jordan, I met River Jordan years ago. She did a thing for the National Writers Meetup group, One Clear Story. You know, she showcased us, but I had read The Gin Girl and Messenger on Magnolia Street. I think those are the 2 that I had read, like, then, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's River Jordan. And then when I left Nashville, well, when I put my house up for sale, I had an offer on it and it fell through. They had offered me my job back. I'd already said no. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no money. When the offer fell through on the house, I'd given everything of mine away. So I didn't even have a pot to boil pasta. Like I had, and a friend was like, come stay in a farmhouse we have. You know, they rented it dirt cheap, and it was a fun adventure. But River had been following that on Facebook. And I wouldn't say that we were friends then, you know, like I knew she was, you know, gone to hear her and stuff. But she reached out to me and she said, I'm having a class that I'm doing that she would do them over the phone. So you could, it's so cool. You have comfort of your own house. You know, you could be in your pajamas. And and I couldn't afford the thing because I had no money. I still had a mortgage on the house. You know, it was like this house that I was now having to do work on to get a realtor to sell it. And so she said, I'll just, you know, I'd really like for you just do it. And then one day you can pay me back. You know, one day you can pay me back. So I made jewelry. I was making jewelry then. So I made her some jewelry and sent it to her. And on one of the first classes, you, Susan Cushman, were a guest with the Southern Writers on Writing.
Yeah.
Talking about that. And I was like, whoa, I've got to read this book. So I'm writing down notes. And then I had met Suzanne through Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
I'd met Sonny when I reached out to him for an endorsement for Walken. It's just a wild, fun, crazy thing. And then he was like, you've got to come to Fairhope and meet all these people. You've got to meet Suzanne Hudson and her husband, Joe. So I'd met them, but they were like I was just like in awe of her. Read In the Dark of the Moon, blew me away.
Yeah.
On it, and so it's like, I'm still thinking, what, something crazy's happening. Like when River said that, like something's going on here.
Yeah.
And then reaching out to Susan for it's just weird how then it's like how it just happened. And now I just feel like I just love Susan so much. I feel like, like, I don't know, like we're really good friends. River, I feel like she's my sister. Suzanne Hudson, I love her. Oh my gosh, I feel like she's my sister. And what I love is that I have Susan Cushman, Suzanne Hudson, and River Jordan on the back of Walking the Wrong Way Home. And you have the good little angel on one shoulder and the devil. So there's Susan, the little angel. I think there's Susan Hudson is the little devil because she's such a little spitfire. And River's just kind of like float like back and forth.
That's a great description of the three of us. I've got that in my mind now.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm looking at the four of us here. I'm thinking about what Kathy said about the importance of community. And every time I put something on Facebook about anything that I've written, the first people to put on there a like or to make a comment or anything are always my Pulpwood Queens, sisters. I mean, that's just the way it is. Stephanie, especially. Stephanie's usually like the first person to hop on there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. Stephanie and I were on a panel together in 2018. It was my novel, Cherry Bomb. And I can't remember which of your books it was at that point, Stephanie.
The first one.
Mamma
Mia, Americans Invade Italy.
Yes. And so we bonded, and so, but she's always so supportive. Every time I put anything, Kathy shares it over and over and over. And now for Mandy, I have some news, Mandy. So when Friends of the Library came out, Mandy's response to me was one of the stories in there about John and Mary Margaret, the black boy and the white girl who fall in love on the Ole Miss campus in the 1960s. She said, you should make this into a novel. Well, I have written and completed that novel. It has been through 15 revisions with feedback from early readers. And yesterday I sent it to the publisher.
Yay!
So if this happens, Mandy, I'll owe it all to you. I would have not thought to make that into a novel. And I'm in love with it. I mean, I'm really in love with the book. And I think it's the same publisher who published Friends of the Library. And they're very interested in it. I don't have a contract yet, but they just got it yesterday. So,
congratulations.
I'm so excited for you.
And Mandy's already written a blurb. She's already written a blurb for it. So this community is so important to Stephanie, Kathy, and Mandy. I love you all, and I appreciate it. All of it.
Well, it's
a sweetheart.
Kathy. So then it was so cute that River was like, you've got to get into this. You've got to meet Kathy. Have you met? And I was like, no, I'm so late to the game. And she was like, you need to be a Pulpwood queen. So I was like, she called me. And the day that she called me, I got on the computer and I was like, oh, I'm going to join. I want to join. And then, gosh, it was like, I think right after I joined, I started like within a day, started getting little things from Pulpwood Queen, members. When it's just like that. And so then I was like, wow, so all these people that have been helping me out, like Kathy, they were all Pulpwood Queen. And I'm like, how lucky. It's like I just kind of, I don't know.
Stephanie's books are on my coffee table. And Stephanie, my husband and I are supposed to be in Italy right now. And of course,
me too.
With our two best friend couples, and now we're hoping for next October. But your books just they make the trip ahead of time so much fun to look forward to.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Thank
we'll
you,
get to do
Susan.
them next fall since we couldn't do it right
Fingers
now.
crossed.
Literally right now we would be there.
Yeah, this is our first time in 21 years that I'm not there. In
Oh,
21
oh.
years with the Americans. We
Mm.
should be there right now too. Well, actually, we should be coming home right now.
Yeah, we're going to be on the Riviera at we're flying to Genoa, and there's, I forget the name of the little village on the Riviera where we were going to stay. I can't remember. It's organized through Ole Miss Alumni Association and AHI Travel, which we've been to Paris and the Rhine River with them, and they just do a great job. I know you do a great job too, but one of the other couples always organizes, and we're like, fine, you organize, we'll write our check and join you. So, but hopefully next year. But your books enrich it ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And you make lifetime friends when you go on Stephanie's trips, because even though I haven't gone since I went back to school, we all get together over at Stephanie's. And, you know, when you're traveling with people, you get to know them pretty well. And, you know, Dinky and Linda and Kathy and just all the girls, you know, we just have a ball. We just have a ball. And
We've
Stephanie,
become a big family.
it is a big family.
Yeah.
From all over
If I
the
get to
United
go one
States.
day.
Oh, if you ever go, you're ruined, because then that's the only. Christy Borden was just emailing me. She goes, man, you know, wouldn't I love to go back? And I go, yeah, me too. A lot of Pulpwood queens go on these trips. So Christy was one of them. But anyway, sharing the stories and sharing each other's lives and creating this community is really what everything the Pulpwood Queens is about. And so I'm actually, I know the COVID is a bad thing, but this Pulpwood Queen Academy all came about because we thought, how can we get even more people, you know, sharing? And we thought, well, we need to start the online book club. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? We had no idea COVID was going to hit. And now I've got the Breathless Bubbles and Books post that I'm doing. I've got the Pulpwood Queen film club that I'm doing. And that is, they're calling me. I mean, this past week, I just did Bruce Cameron, who did A Dog's Purpose, and his wife, Catherine, who's got the new movie with Melissa McCarthy, were on my show. I can't believe who's calling me to want to get on the show. And this Saturday night, I have an Austin filmmaker that's got an amazing film, you guys. And I got a hold of her because of another filmmaker in Austin. And so be sure and tune in on a Saturday night for our film club pre-show at 6:30. But thank you, Mandy. I mean, we are so looking forward to your stories. You know, I don't know when SEBA does their Okra Awards or all the different awards, but I would imagine that everything you're writing is going to just, you know, take away so many of these awards, because they're just great. They're great. And I will be sharing them forever. And any last words you want to share with us? Something you want people to know more about talk about your art a little bit, because you're an artist too. And we can't wait to get together so we can.
We're going to trade.
We're going to trade each other's art and teach each other how. I just learned how to make roses out of leaves. Get ready, out of leaves, and then they turn. It's the coolest thing, you guys, because I've been working with nature finds and stuff. So I'm collecting leaves right now. So if you find any really cool pliable leaves, get them and I'll teach you.
Well, when we get together and I teach you how to do felting,
yes,
we'll have to. I want to dye silk scarves with leaves.
I got to show you something. Keep talking.
And then Nuno felt those.
Okay. On my little journey that I just took to visit my family, I got silk scarves that are hand painted, and I want to learn how to do it. Isn't this gorgeous?
That's beautiful.
I got 2 of them, and the one has leaves all over it. I can't believe you said that, because I just got them. Because I thought, I'm going to learn how to do this. And I got them from an artist at Silver Dollar City. Look at this one.
That's beautiful.
We've got to learn how to do this. Okay. So you're going to stay at least a week, you know?
Yeah, I think, yeah. You're going to have to teach me how to alcohol ink. I'm going to teach you how to Nuno felt, and we'll learn how to paint silk scarves together.
Yeah.
I want to dye silk scarves with the leaves. Like, I want to roll them up tight and like squeeze the natural color out of the leaves and flowers. And that's how I want to paint my scarves.
We'll figure it out.
Somehow, there's got to be a way. But this is like, I love, so there's like silk and Nuno, silk and bamboo. It's silk, well, it's some silk with wool, and it's called Nuno felt. So you take wool fluff and then silk threads and strands, and you just warm soapy water, you turn it into a piece of material. It's the craziest thing. It's so much fun.
We're going to have to do an art workshop or something together. We'll figure it out, and then maybe we can figure out how to do that. But I cannot believe you said that when I just couldn't believe these things, and the prices were just reasonable. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, if you ever, Branson and Silver Dollar City are nothing like 46 years ago when I went for my senior week. They are filled with incredible artists, and it's like, you know how Nashville has now turned into little LA in a way because of the music industry? Well, Branson has really, it's still small town charm, but they've really upped the entertainment and the game, and there's nobody there. It was fabulous. And so we'll be doing that, Mandy. We'll just figure it out sometime. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to figure it out.
Well, if anybody wants to look at that art, that felt stuff,
yeah,
you can look it up, P-U-P, puplucyblue.com.
Puplucyblue.
Puplucyblue.com. If you just wanted to check out, if anybody wanted to check out the felting, because it's so cool to look at. It's just I'm
going to introduce you to an artist here named Phoebe Phillips, who is becoming my neighbor. And she did felted animals and things for Neiman Marcus.
She's needle felting?
She does all kinds of scarves and clothes and brooches. I mean, we're going to have a fest because her and her husband just bought 3 lots and they're building a house here, aren't they, Stephanie? And
yeah.
She did all these beautiful things for Neiman Marcus, and now she's moving here. So I'm pretty pumped about it. And she's an author.
That's my dream. We'll just have this whole commune. It'll be like an artist and writer's compound that people can just.
Well, that's what this whole area I live in is all little cabins in the woods. And yeah, I want more people to move here. So
Phoebe's Neiman Marcus carried Phoebe's rabbits, the long-eared rabbits, bunnies, for 29 years at Neiman's. All of our beautiful bunny rabbits that had the long ears, and they would have the tutus and just gorgeous. She designed them and created them.
We'll get together. And I have another artist I want to bring in too, named Cassie Edmonds, who does beadwork, the most incredible beadwork. So here we go. Maybe we'll meet all over at Stephanie. She's got a big room, so we can do something. Yeah. So thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Susan, for joining us. And I just want to tell everybody that as soon as this is over, it downloads, and I put it on my Kathy L. Murphy channel on YouTube, and I share it with the world. So you can go there and share it. I'll send you guys it'll be everywhere. You can't miss it. But all my videos now are on my Kathy L. Murphy channel on YouTube. And it's really great because I'm actually documenting everything that we're reading. But I'm also doing my children's story hours, my Pulpwood Queen Film Club interviews, we're starting this week, the Breathless Bubbles and Books authors. We're going to start interviewing them at the end of the week with Scott Boyers is this week. So I'm building that up so there's a one-stop shop where everybody can go to watch them if they can't figure out how to do Zoom. It's so easy to me. I mean, it's just easy. And it works so much better than Facebook. Facebook just kept dropping, or It wasn't working. And it's good to see you guys, your faces, and
Yeah.
your beautiful office.
Congratulations, Susan.
Yes, I'm so happy. I can't wait to get a copy.
Don't have the contract yet, but you'll be the first to know.
Okay.
It was my favorite. It was my favorite story out of that collection.
You
John
and
and Mary Margaret.
Well, now the book covers 50 years of race relations in Oxford, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and Memphis. So I'm excited about it. And I've got 8 blurbs already. So the publishers liked that I already had a bunch of blurbs. So
Fantastic.
And, you know, tonight, I was going to say, I think there should be 50 people here. And, you know, I think the presidential debates going on might have done a little bit. It's at the
Really?
same time.
I forgot. Okay.
But you know, so I'm glad you recorded it, and it'll be somewhere people can see, because Mandy needs to be read.
Well, true, but you know, I always have my book club meetings on Tuesday. So I'm thinking after the first of the year, going back to Tuesday nights. What do you guys think?
Doesn't matter to me.
There's another big group that has the same thing going on Thursday nights, and it's always in competition with me. So I think I want to go. I'm in a way, I've got it booked all the way through the end of the year. So starting in January, we're going to meet, I think, on Tuesday nights. Also, even though we're not having Girlfriend Weekend this year, I'm going to have my list out for the 2021 book club selections by December 1st. And when I get those posted, I'm going to, we're going to have basically a Zoom-a-thon Girlfriend Weekend where I'm going to book all my authors for the year featured in those 3 days of Zoom meetings, so that at least we can keep everybody's interest going. I'll be very busy, but I'll schedule them on the hour, and then we'll have the 15-minute breaks in between each one. So be ready for the sign-up sheet and get me your book, Susan, so we can get you. Is it going to come? Well, you don't know when it's going to come out yet.
It would probably not be till next summer, so it would be on your 2022.
That's fine, because that's when we'll probably meet again. Everything's up in the air because the place that I'm dealing with is not even going to consider booking until spring of 2021. So I have to wait. So I can't announce where it's going to officially be.
Oh, but is it even going to be in Jefferson? Or that you're not announcing? Okay.
It's not going to be in Jefferson.
Okay.
It's going to be on the East Coast in a southern city. You can guess. We'll talk later.
Ooh, that makes me excited.
Well, I think it's time to make it bigger, and I think it's time to go to some places where I've got chapters in Charleston and Beaufort now that are my biggest chapters, and they would really love to get me there. Of course, New York's really excited that it's moving because it'll be easier to get. And Adriana Tragiani's coming. I just booked her. So we got some really good people coming this year. And I didn't even know that she, she did the movie Big Stone Gap. She wrote the book, but she was the director. I didn't know she was a television writer before she became an author. And she's written screenplays and everything. So she just told me she was going to come when I interviewed her for my Pulpwood Queen Film Club. So I've got some pretty exciting big people coming, but all of them say you're known for helping first-time first book authors. So we got a lot of newbies, right, Mandy? We got a lot of newbies. So thank you for joining us. I applaud you. Thank you guys for coming tonight. And now let's get this up and get it shared with everybody. Have a wonderful week, and tag me on anything you want me to post, because sometimes I just don't know what's out there. So do tag me and I'll get it up on my page.
Thank you again, Kathy.
I love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Susan. Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, guys. I enjoyed it.
Bye-bye. Bye, puppy.